As has been evident in this module, religious debates in the early 16th century were not only passionate but multidirectional. Moreover, individuals and communities moved from one perspective and set of allegiances to another, under pressure from the political authorities or persuaded by theological arguments or the witness of others. It is clear that Martin Bucer, for example, was fighting on several fronts, defending his understanding of the gospel against the Catholics, Lutherans, spiritualists, and Anabaptists. Marpeck, too, in his writings and personal encounters, engaged with various religious options and their advocates. Classen lists many of those whose views Marpeck considered: Luther, Zwingli, Calvin, Bullinger, Bucer, the Hutterites, the Munsterites, the Swiss Brethren, Hans Denk, and Schwenkfeld. To these might be added Entfelder, Bundelin, and Melchior Hoffmann. Although coherent theological, ecclesial, and ethical convictions can be found in his writings, the emphasis is different in different writings, depending on which opponents were primarily in view. It is indicative of the complexity of the situation, though, that books intended to address one community were sometimes assumed by others to be aimed at them, as in the case of the Admonition, which was written mainly to address issues of concern in other Anabaptist writers, but which Schwenkfeld regarded as an attack on his views. Marpeck was writing about a number of highly contentious issues and struggling to articulate a distinctive perspective that he believed to be consistent with the Scriptures and more adequate than other contemporary formulations. We will examine his central theological, ecclesial, hermeneutical, and ethical convictions in the next unit. As might be expected, these multi-directional debates helped Marpeck to clarify and refine his own convictions. His understanding of the person and work of Christ, sin and repentance, new birth, the work of the Spirit, Christian freedom, church and the sacraments, government, the use of force, economics and biblical interpretation, all developed through his debates and his attempts in several of his books to answer very detailed challenges to his views. Stephen Boyd provides a helpful summary of Marpeck's underlying concerns in his debates with various individuals and communities. He regarded the spiritualists as too spiritual and offered a critique of their radical individualism. He regarded the reformers as too fleshly and offered a critique of their collectivism that eroded individual responsibility. Against the individualistic spiritualists, he argued that there could be no individual justness without social justice. Against the collectivistic reformers, he insisted that there would be no social justice without individual justness. He rejected all kinds of coercion, whether by the sword, which the Catholics and reformers were prone to use, or by legalistic rules and a harsh use of the ban, which he found in some Anabaptist communities, or by insisting on community of goods, as the Hutterites did, which he regarded as coercing the individual conscience. He yearned for unity, but would not confuse this with uniformity or compromise on his central convictions.